All right. Good evening, everybody. Hope we're recording. Should be. Yes, we are recording. All right. Fantastic. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the call. And students, welcome to the class. This is day 2. That's right. We are doing something a little different tonight. We've invited the public to come in and join us. Now, this is very limited. There's no TikToking around going here, and there's no Facebooking going happening here either. This is strictly on the Uber board, and that's it. So for everybody else, they're all like, where did Emmett.damron go? They'll figure it out next week. So again, I want to welcome you guys to the call. One of the things that I want to go through with people is why we do this. Why would you even think of doing such a thing? I mean, it's just silly. Just a bunch of paperwork. It's a bunch of you know what they say, right? So let's answer those questions. The reason that we do this is because we have a very limited access and control to our surroundings. Can we all agree on that? I mean, because every time you try to stand up and say something, somebody tells you can't. Every time you want to go do something, somebody tells you need a license to do it. I mean, for anything. Okay. And anytime, you know, you want to go somewhere, it seems like you got to check in with somebody and ask. It's like the whole country's on probation or something. You ever gone through a checkpoint, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's asinine. It's ridiculous. Oh, you could have a torpedo up your butt. You never know. And I mean, they're just so paranoid. I'm like, go home. I mean, if the job's that hard for you, bro, and it's just making you act like this, just go home. I mean, you're handling the whole country's security right here in your little head and ego all in one time. That's no good. It's true. It's true. These are real facts. So, look, you either get tired of dealing with this stuff and you want some closure, or you just stand in line like everybody else. I'm not the guy that stands in line like everybody else. That's not me. Good. I don't do that, and I've never accepted that. And once upon a time, I believed in our system, and I thought that, you know what, if I just do what they say to do, and I follow the rules and follow the little books, certainly I will be fine. Well, I'm going to tell you, I took my case all the way to the United States Supreme Court of Appeals. You can look it up if you want to. And it was for a ridiculous charge that I filed an appeal on. I was only 19. And it's literally where the government created federal jurisdiction where there wouldn't have been otherwise. And I got charged. I mean, these guys even told a 19-year-old kid, me, had a hot wire car. Really? No kidding. Okay? So when people say, we don't really like to get into all that kind of stuff. We try to avoid that kind of stuff. Do you think I really stood in a line for this? Really? I didn't. And nobody else does either. Okay? They see the weakness in the fold and they take their opportunities to pounce. And I'm going to tell you, well, how come it doesn't happen to everybody? Well, because not everybody puts up with it. I'm going to tell you, if you heard I mean, when I started getting involved in people's debt cases and starting to hear these recorded conversations of the way these debt collectors would talk to other demographics, or what might be perceived as a lower demographic or a lesser educated demographic, however you want to cut it, okay, was unbelievable. It was absolutely unbelievable. It was like nothing else I had ever seen. Like, if you would talk to me like that in my neighborhood, people would come to your house and find you. I mean, you would be found on Facebook somewhere, and somebody's going to say, somebody's going to, bring you up to speed on that. And I'm thinking to myself, why do they do this? Well, they do it because they can. They do it because they can get away with it. So here's what I learned about the court systems. You can go in there and beat their behinds. You can go in there and make them look silly as pie, like they don't know anything of what they're talking about. And if you want to see a good example of that, go to the our Living Life Without Contracts page, and you'll see we in there with credit union, with the credit union. And I mean, and I destroy these guys. Like, He's a moron. Like, he's not even supposed to be here. And truthfully, at the end of the day, we busted him for no insurance, so he doesn't have a law license anymore, and he certainly wasn't supposed to be there. That's another way to beat a case. So, if you pull the players out or you can prove some kind of malfeasance, then everything they said was crap, and that's what kills those kinds of cases. So that works too. Um, but we do this because we want some control. And, I'm going to tell you the reason I go to work every day and the reason I would put it down sometimes really long days was not because it was great exercise. And I think all of us can agree on that. We do this because we want our beneficiaries to reap the benefit of our labor. And when you've got somebody cherry picking you all the way down until there's nothing left for your kiddos and there's nothing left to save, then you're in an oppressive situation. And I'm going to tell you, a good part of America is in that situation today. And they're in that situation because they filled out too many applications. The word application means to beg. So you hear people in TikTok, and they're all pissed off and worked up about their license plates. Who filled out the application for that title? Who begged for it? No, Shannon didn't do it. Somebody else. Wasn't pointing at Shannon. No, they did it. Yeah. Did you see that? They just stood up and testified right there. They did it. Yeah, both of them. That's the accomplice. It happens. And it happens because they don't give us a choice. That happens when they tell you there is a choice, but there really isn't a choice. For example, when you go into court, they tell you, we need a plea from you. What law says that? You could stop right there. And he can't answer that. Why? Because he wants a contract with you. And he's using coercion and trickery. That's called witchcraft. Can I tell you why Yahweh never shows up in a courtroom? Except unless you're George Burns. Can I tell you why? It's because they're temples. And what are temples for? Temples are places of worship, and they're meant to keep other things out. So, if you got a bunch of dark people running around in robes trading children on the side, or doing whatever they do, and it's probably a long list. But if you've got that situation going on, Yahweh's not going to show up in there. And if you voluntarily walk into that room not knowing what to do, he ain't going to be with you either because you're on your own. That's pretty depressing. And you know what? That's enough. I could go deeper. I could make it worse. We could put on some poor music and everything. I mean, we could smoke and lights, whatever you want. But I'm telling you, at the end of the day, we do this because little by little, our parents and our grandparents handed our freedoms away. And the only way to get them back is to recontract. We contracted into all this. Now we need to do some contracts. So, when you're dealing with these kinds of things, you have to recognize their courtroom's not the only dog and pony show in town. We know that, right? So we got federal courts. We got Judge Judy. We've got all kinds of courts. We got arbitration. We've got private courts. I mean, seriously, they have private judges that do private courts. It makes you wonder if there's like a pole or something he dances on. I don't know. I'm just curious to see how that works, but at the same time, I don't want to know. But it's true. It's really true. I was gonna get something. I wasn't being weird. Sorry. Anyway, so the reason that we do this is so that we can have some control in our life. I'm going to tell you that I believe that the straw man, he's the one. He's the one you need to get away from. Okay? He's terrible. He's absolutely terrible. He's the one that gets you into trouble. You buy things you can't afford. You always as soon as somebody says yes, you and the straw man go down the street with your underwear on your head. Look what happened, and we all do it. So not just you, me too. Look what happened in 2008. The whole housing crash. That happened. Why? Straw man. So what does that tell you about this guy? He's dangerous. Very dangerous. Is he level-headed? On a good day, maybe. Does he know the difference between he's actually walking around and he's alive and he's on paper? Not really, because he's doing both the jobs. He's doing both. He's commingled everything. So what we've got to do is we've got to undo that process. Now, Yeshua talked to Nicodemus about this very process. That's right. So even back in the Roman days, they had legal fictions. There were legal fictions. There were literally tables that were set up so that you could do your sacrifice. I mean, just like the just seen on TV stuff we have today. And they were doing the same stuff. They monopolized everything. And the Romans started doing it first. So when they talked to Yeshua about it, what did he say? He says, unless the man is born again, he can't enter the kingdom of heaven. What did the rich man say when he came to him? What would it take? He says, you need to sell everything you have. Follow me. That means we got to give up all of our stuff, Pastor. Yes. And you know what? Number one, you never had it in the first place. Number two, everybody taxes the crap out of you. That's bad. That's the bad thing about having stuff. Okay? Motorcycles, motorhomes, it's maintenance, it's tires, it's taxes, now it's gas and it's Joe Biden every time you pump the gas. So it's worse, right? Right. But who does all that? Whose world is that? That's a straw man's world. Where's your world? Where's it at? I talk to a lot of people every day that tell me what their boss's cars look like. Yeah, man, he's got a pool table in the back. He's got pinball machines in the corner and the pool and this, 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 this. And they'll talk it up, man. I've heard lots of people do this. And it's like, what do you know about Yahweh? And it's because we're too busy with that straw man all the time. The kids, they've now put the straw man in the TVs and the video games and telephones now. So they just converse like that now. We have no say so. It's happening. It really is. So we do this process because we all know, and we don't believe that the court system is here for us. Okay? That's why we do this. So what people learn, or what students learn in my class, is we learn the art of contracting. We learn the art of equity. Because equity is the superior jurisdiction. Equity is the reason why your judge said, I'm going to go take a left when I should have taken a right. Every time. So you know what we need to learn? We better learn how to do this equity stuff. That's right. And that's what we're learning. Tonight we're going to be talking about, what do you need to have in your desk? We're going to start with that. We talked a little bit about it last night, but I want to go into more detail because I think that there's some questions. I think I think you guys and the students need to understand the real jurisdictions here. And you create an equitable jurisdiction by proof of witness. Okay? One of the things that you're going to find with a lot of these people that teach out there is they tell you to do all kinds of paperwork, and it's not addressed to anybody. Look at their paperwork. I'm not kidding you. Don't say affidavit. And then blah, 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 blah. Well, who's that for? So who are you talking to? I'm just making a fact. Okay, keep it in your glove box. It's not going to help you at all. We've got to have proper notice. But there's so many people out there that are trying to stop this process. They're trying to stop you. And do you know why? Because Yahweh himself woke each one of you up. All of you that are seeing this is happening, guys. All that Sunday school stuff that they used to scare the crap out of us with, it's real. Well, except for the scare the crap out of you part. But it's the hellfire and brimstone stuff, that's all real. It's absolutely real. And it's happening today, right now. The River Euphrates is drying up. They got all kinds of scary noises down there. I mean, they're talking about aliens. I mean, it's funny how we can believe in an ET before we'll believe in a demon. Isn't that funny? No. That's to just tell you that there's no spaceships. It's just little demons running around. But we're missing this stuff because we don't know how to talk, we don't know how to speak, and we've lost that ability for all these years. So tonight I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about what we do to prepare for anything that's going on regarding your trust. Because in class one, what we did was we took the straw man and we contracted him down. We made him so he can do nothing. Kind of like somebody going to prison. He's done. He's done forever. It's a life sentence. He's the donkey. He goes back and forth. That's what he does. You're the guy with the clipboard, and you tell him what to do. Now, how does that work exactly? Well, you have to create a pipeline in order to have a transmitting utility. Yes, that means go to Home Depot and get all the PVC pipe that'll fit in the station wagon. No, I'm kidding. Don't do that. No, what it means is that we have to create a conduit. So think about your kids, okay? And those of you that still have kids at home, think about when they would just hit you like, I need this, I need this, I need this, I need this. I mean, it felt like, and you're just sending stuff. It's just going. It's just going like at record speed. Well, that's a pipeline, okay? But unfortunately, we only get the little earned income credit for the write-off for our kids. But when you create a pipeline for your straw person, that means that somebody's taking care of him. That means like the United Way, Shriners Hospital, stuff like that. That's what they do. You really think those little guys in the funny hats are just running all those cancer treatments on coins and parades? No. All those children in there, they're all under contract to receive care, and they enter into what is called a long-term care agreement. And basically, those kids cannot do any other contracting, no TV commercials, nothing, unless they say so. Because they are the holder in due course. Why? Because if they don't, they're going to die. So the parents said, yes, we'll do that. And prisons work the same way. Elderly homes work the same way. So this class is all about creating that conduit. Tonight, we're going to be going into more detail. This is going to be more into the second hour of the class. And unfortunately, you guys won't be able to participate in that. That's going to be for students only. But I do encourage you to listen and really evaluate this stuff. And more than anything else, verify it. Check it out. Talk to people. Study and show yourself approved. Do it because it's for you. It's for your beneficiaries. It's not for me. It's for you. So, number one, we know that these courts don't work for us, do they? So, what we do is we have to create courts on our own. Hold on a second. And I have two of these back there, but this is called a firm mailing book. Okay. And this is what we use to run our trust. This is how I've been so successful with all my court cases, and Emmett.damron doesn't go to jail. You know why? Because I'm contracting here. They always send you notice first. They always send you something like right away, like 21 days in advance. So that means if you can default these guys in 21 days, you don't have to go to court. That's how Emmett.damron stays out of court. So what you'll see here is that's me. And look, that's where I printed up a nice label. Say notice of private. I can't read it. You'll see what it says. I can't read it. You guys can. And you'll see that. And then what? We have a jurisdiction there now, don't we? See? That's government jurisdiction. And then we have a postmaster that witnessed it too. Yep. All these guys got it. The certificate of mailing right here. This is something you want to keep. I usually use this when I'm sending something that's in duplicate. Like everybody's getting the same thing, and like one primary person will get the certified mailing. So the second page has the certified mailing. But these certificates of mailing are proof of acceptance. This is proof that it happened. And when you move in the private, one of the things that you have to have is proof. What did you mail off? I hope that was not too personal. Oh no, it was. It's It's a notice of a private auction. So here's what happened. I had a dispute with an employer, and I took his vehicle. We went to court right here. And this right here was after the last little thing, and it said notice of private auction, Saturday, June the 26th, 2021, from 11 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. 30-minute auction. I'm going to sell your stuff. Private process. And all he has to do is accept it and not respond to it. Because what's the go-to? Well, what was your response to that? If somebody's mediating that, what do we do with our kids? What was your response to that? That's what we'd say, right? I say that because we have a little bit. She's so young. I say that because she's there. But still, we do that because we need the witnesses. So when you have this magic number 3, guess what you got? A winner, chicken dinner all day. And you can do anything you want. Literally took their property. I've taken a $50,000 van. Well, it's a long story, but he hired me under false pretenses. I told him you need to fix his stuff. We need to have licenses here. He says, no, we don't. And TDLR said, yes, you do. And since that kind of violated my employment contract, I started assessing and contracting with him. So it was like $44,000. I gave him so much time to pay it. He didn't pay it. It was witnessed right here. That's that. This is why we use this book. Those of you guys that take my class, you're going to learn this is how you deal with this stuff. These guys want to send you junk mail, offers to contract. I'll show you how to respond to this stuff in equity. So if I ever had to go to court, which you'll see with the case with the bank, credit human case. If you see in the credit human case, I had my books, I had everything. It was already decided. It didn't matter what he said. So this is the superior jurisdiction. This is the superior way to keep yourself out of trouble. If you don't have one of these, you're just in the wind. Your stuff is going everywhere. This is why we're failing in court. This is why we're not being heard, you guys. Because we get all excited and we write up a bunch of notes and we go racing into court thinking we're going to throw water on the witch. But what we don't understand is that they've already had their meeting. That's why you need to have this book. So you have your meeting. And see, when you have acceptance, you have equity. This is why they took your kids. This is why they took my kids. I didn't know how to speak. I didn't know how to answer properly. I mean, I knew how to answer, but it got me in more trouble than it helped because I didn't know. You know, this is how we do it. This is the step in how we do it. So, any questions about any of this, you guys? Class? Any class guys have any questions about this? The thing to ask. But if you do, this is it. The other things that you need to have in your desk. This is what we talked about. You need to have your certified mailing stuff, of course. This certificate of mailing is what you really need to get. It's very inexpensive. It's $1.45, I think, or something to send. It's a very inexpensive way to send certified mail. This is what the courts are using, by the way, when they send you stuff, and it says return address requested or something like that. It'll have a red stamp on it. It's because the courts are using these. And they're saying, we have this stamp right here, and it verifies that you did it, and they just show the judge, and they don't tell you. And they go, aha, and then they just drop the hammer on you. That's what they're using, okay? Another thing, you need to have some of these. And you need one of these. Why do you need these? Anytime you're doing anything that has to do with money, anything that has to do with an assessment of a claim of money, okay, actual money. And before anybody pipes up and says any crazy programming out there, just don't, because I don't want to hear it. But you guys understand what I mean. This is for doing financial transactions only. Okay. not for sending letters and notices to people. It'll take forever. And here's why. These guys, they'll stop at every single post office from here to there. It could take months. And why? Because equity. Who accepted all these on the way there? Every post office. And guess what? They keep a ledger for it. And everybody signs for it. So that makes this number right here a public number, a publicly registered number, just like the ones on your dollar bills. They're publicly registered. Yes, I know there's somebody's whatever back of the number behind there. So yes, I know. I know. But it's still a registered public number. That's what these are. And this is why they won't let you run out of the post office with these. You got to really sweet talk them for this. It's not easy. I'm telling you, don't walk in there with your yard clothes on asking for this. They're going to be like, no, not today. You need to get some of those, some 3806s as well. Keep these in your desk. Keep them with you. And the other thing is going to be this guy right here. You need to have one of these here because your straw man, just think of him as being disabled completely. So now this is his signature. This is how you sign. And I'm going to tell you early in the days of America, people recognized this and people would stamp and then they would sign. Or they would throw something down and they would put a press in it of some sort. They'd have a family seal, something like that. That's why there was a difference between the straw man and the living person. And they wanted to keep them separate. So I hope that helps everybody because people are out there just keeping you guys busy. Okay? Stop reading these redemption manuals because next year they'll have another one. You know what? They still don't have it right. Just stop.
I have a question.
Oh yes, Maverick was asking me where do you purchase one of these stamps? The stamps there. Okay, so if you Google notary stamps, just Google notary stamps. The good thing to get when you get those too is get some of these little foil, little doohickey things right here.
Mm-hmm.
That way, when you put your stamp on these, you have a nice raised presentation. I like silver. It doesn't matter. There's no hocus pocus to it. It's tomato. It doesn't matter. So there's a lot of folks out there that will teach you to. They'll teach you to. Sorry about that. They'll tell you that you need to change your name, change your status. You don't need to change any of that. You need to get the straw man under control. Because what's he doing to you? He's dragging you to court. He's dragging you here. He drags you there. Press hard 3 times. All that stuff is happening in your life. And guess what that's taking away from? Your time with Yahweh. And equally as important, not most importantly, but equally as important to your family. So we've got to do it smart. And we need to understand that this is a trap. Okay? Let me tell you a story about a guy I know. And this guy went to jail and these people are staying up all night long and they're banging up dominoes. They're just beating him up and down and up and down. He just can't sleep. He's kind of a little dude like me. He goes over there and he tells them, hey, man, can you guys cut it out? I'm really trying to sleep. And of course, they give him all the cuss words, the fingers, the threats, go back to bed, all that, right? So the little guy, kind of mad. And he goes over there and grabs the big 6, throws it in the toilet. That's the double 6, the 12. He throws it in the toilet, flushes it. That's it. There's no more game now because you need that to start the game. So anyway, they beat him up pretty good. And but at least he got to go back to bed, I guess. I guess that was a positive. But nevertheless, how many of those can you really go through? Well, the little guy decided he was going to learn how to play dominoes one day, and he did. And not only did he learn how to play dominoes, but he played them so well he put everybody else to bed. Then he learned to do it before his bedtime. So that became a ritual, you see. So can I tell you with this straw man that's been whipping you with those dominoes, we're going to play the game tonight. So that way, you can put him to bed. You can have your time with Yahweh, and your family, and you have something that's real. They even warn everybody. They tell you can't take this stuff with you. So why are we spending so much time? Why? Because he's deceptive. Because he's not a good influence. He's like Johnny Knoxville. Really, he's bad. When I think of my straw man, I think of Johnny Knoxville and Jackass. That's what I think of my straw man. Really, he's so irresponsible. He's terrible. And he can't make good decisions. He just doesn't know how. So what do? Contract him. So those of you guys missed the first class. The first class, that's all we did was contracting. Tonight we're going to be talking about other things. So I'm about to share some screens and share some private stuff. You guys ready? So private. Don't worry, Angela. I'm not going to tell him. I'm just kidding. That was a joke. Anyway, so I'm gonna go. What is all this going? Man, this is how we pass notes in class now. We don't even roll them up in paper. We just throw them on the screen. There you go. Read them in front of the class. We don't care. I love it. You guys are awesome. Fearless. Fearless. And actually, Angela's on the call, and Connie, I think, they're in New, they're somewhere, New Hampshire or somewhere. Anyway, they're out eating crab and fun, good stuff. I don't know. I saw some food that they were eating. It looked okay. So they're not with us, but Angela and Connie are both joining us here with the House of Yah Community Outreach, and they're going to be helping me get this thing bigger so that we can do more of what we want to do. And my dream is to end homelessness all over the country. Oh, yes, and I know how to do it. See, we can put all these homeless people in long-term care too. And that's the cool thing about having a nonprofit. You're allowed to do that because you're acting as a fiduciary to the public. So I appreciate your support, all of you, and in our dream, that's not in getting this done. Because if we can do that, this whole other thing falls apart, or even if it just does halfway okay, at least we got a fighting chance. Right now, sitting on our couches, we ain't winning nothing. We're not doing nothing. We're just watching it happen, and that's no place to be. I believe things are going to get tough, and I want to be ready for it. And this is why I did this process. So, those of you guys that have all of your paperwork done, this is called a financing statement. Now, what we do is we file this financing statement with the Secretary of State. Why do we file the financing statement? Because those of you guys who are in my class, we have perfected a lien against your straw person. Sorry. Ooh, sensitive. Anyway, we've perfected a lien against the straw person. And why did we put a lien against the straw person? Well, we put a lien against the straw person because the straw person is a liability and he gets in trouble a lot. Anybody ever owned a Jaguar? Think of your straw person as kind of like a Jaguar. You need two of them, just one at the shop and one at home so you can drive. And your straw person is always, always costing you. So this is time to pay up. And it's not time to pay you. It's time to pay up because your beneficiaries deserve better. Your beneficiaries deserve to have 100% and 100% use of your estate when you're gone. By doing this process, you're going to eliminate probate. You're going to eliminate that. You won't need it because all of your family members will be designated. So this right here is the final document that takes your straw man off the books commercially. This is what takes you into the private because somebody's going to have to write a big check. So let's talk about this document. So when you go onto your web page, you're going to go to your Secretary of State. And the Secretary of State's page is going to show you a lot of options. What you need to be looking for is this keyword right here, UCC financing statement filing, or UCC, non-UCC. Don't get trapped into the forms section, okay? You need to try to do this online, electronically. You're going to see that's how mine is done right here. Now, this is all public information, so you guys can go to New Mexico Secretary of State's office. You can look this up. It's all there. And this lien is good for 300 years. So there's no need for me to renew my filing unless I'm changing it or moving to another state. Um, if you live in another state, so like I lived in New Mexico at the time, but I was born in Texas. That's where I was birthed out of. So what I did is I did my filing in New Mexico. Then I just did a one-page UCC filing in Texas, and I referenced this filing number, and I'll show you that here in just a second. So right now, we're going to talk about the non-UCC filing because that's what we're looking right here. The non-UCC filing, we file this with the Secretary of State. And by definition, the word non-UCC literally means it's the use of this form for a common law purpose. So basically, you're using the New Mexico Secretary of State as a witness to your common law filing. Okay. So when you go through this, you're going to notice I have two filings here. You got the county clerk right here, and it was electronically filed. So once I filled all this out, and we're going to go through that right now. It's the filling out. So you're going to fill this stuff out here. And then when you get to the 1A box, you're going to see your organization name. So you can see here's my whole name right here, my organization name. But for you guys, I've perfected this over the years. If you put parentheses here and put irrevocable trust, because that's who's running the show now, then that takes care of this. Okay. And that way you won't have any conflicts. Your mailing address needs to be your private address. Do not send this stuff to your house. This is a public record. So this is why this is why when we were doing the paperwork yesterday, we talked about getting the P.O. box or a private mailbox. Because again, you want to be private. You don't want to send people to your front yard. It's like these people running around saying I'm private, but they're not because everybody knows it. It's just stupid. So anyway, make sure you do that. Skip all these other lines. These are all here to trap you. Okay. Now, those of you yesterday that remember I told you as the secured creditor, do not use the middle name. Look, you see this trap right here? This is additional names, initials, middle names. Those people would put their middle name there. They will kick your filing. Why? Because this name and this name cannot be the same name, exact name. This is why I said to put your irrevocable trust in parentheses right here. We're just renaming this SQ trust, essentially, is what we're doing to some degree. And then you'll go down here, and you're going to see the individual surname is going to be the first and last name only. Okay. Now, when we get to number 4, and I'm going to tell you guys the reason I didn't put a form in your thing to fill out is because every state has a different form, unfortunately. So, but all the box numbers are pretty much the same. So if you're making notes on this, you're good. And if you have a copy of this, if you're one of the students and you have a copy of this, well, you're going to be able to see it. So if we look here on the 4th line here, it says the collateral. It says this financing statement covers the following collateral: the reference number and original filing date, which I revised this thing, but basically you want this sentence and this verbiage, this financing statement, the second one. It covers the following collateral. This is actual and constructive notice. All the debtor's interest in the debtor's property, both registered and unregistered, is hereby accepted as collateral for securing the contractual obligation in favor of the secured party. So keep in mind, if you've got all this assumed paperwork and you're just saying this stuff, but you don't actually have this paperwork done, you are deluding yourself, and you need to make sure you have some paperwork done. Okay, it's very important. There's a lot of people here that do the, prosperity or blab it and grab it kind of thing, and that's just not how this works. So just be clear on this, you guys. We're giving notice that you're in control, that you're running the ship now, and nobody else is allowed to get in here. It says the value of the secured party's claim is 100 billion in the United States silver specie dollars. The entry of the the entry of the debtors into the commercial registry and public notice of a commercial transaction. The secured party hereby reserves all rights interested and titles of said property value 100 billion silver specie. So what does that mean? Does it mean you're going to get 100 billion in silver specie? Not necessarily. What it means is that if somebody wants to write you a ticket, if somebody wants to move any kind of commercial action against the straw person, me, they got to pay this lien off first. So I'm going to tell you, I had a disagreement with the state of New Mexico. Their taxation department said that my business was open like 2 years after I closed it and tried to assess me with taxes due. Just being a bully. I wrote them letters back, said, no, that's not true. And you know what? They didn't care. They just ignored me and did their little process. Well, they put a lien on my credit for like 2 weeks. And then it came off because what I did was I sent them a bill for 100 billion in silver specie. I gave them 3 days to pay or quit. You know what they did? They quit. So that's what this document is for. This document is to keep your straw man out of the courts, out of the public arenas, and out of the auction blocks. Okay. So if you see check marks naming things, like you're going to see number 5 here, it says that it's held in a trust. Number 6, you need to check that it's a public finance transaction. You also need to check that it is a non-UCC filing. Okay. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to fill all this stuff out. You're going to file it with the Secretary of State. And like I said, hopefully you'll electronically file it. You need to bumble around in there and you'll find it. I promise it's in there. They just hide it really well. And sometimes they're equal to help you. Sometimes they're not. Those of you that live in Washington, they will not. So very tricky. If you guys need help with that, let me know. We'll do the best we can and we'll make it work somehow. But anyway, every case is different, and I just can't guarantee stuff because I'm just not that good. I'm good, but I'm not that good. I can't control people. So anyway, this lien's going to go into place. You're going to print this off. You're going to upload your indemnity bond. Please write this down. This document, your non-UCC, will have your indemnity bond only. Please write this down. Somebody always asks me this. And this nice, you guys get to take a break a little bit from class, and it's not so much typing like it was yesterday. I'm trying to make everybody's heads rest a little bit. It hurts. I understand. Right. So after this is done and this is filled out, you're going to take this. It's going to spit this out. You're going to go down to the clerk of court. See, just like I did. Clerk B, you can look that up if you want to. And there's the number. UCC, page 1 through 5. I filed everything. So, because this comes with a couple of pages behind it. They're just real remedial. So I didn't put them in here. But you can see like the back of it. It's like the misprint. I don't know. You can see like these little lines. That's it. So that's all it says on those. So there's nothing else to really share there. But you want to make sure that those are done. Make sure that your lines are done properly. Make sure that you don't use your middle name as the secured creditor. Make sure you're checking all those boxes properly and make sure that that collateral statement is in there. Must be in there. And what happens is you're going to file this on the land record with the clerk. And when you do that, that's going to give them notice that they can't be filing cases and lawsuits against you. Not without paying this first. That's pretty cool, huh? Any questions, anybody? Class, anybody got any questions? Hey,
Yeah,
Todd.
Tim, I put it in the comments over
Love
there.
that, sure.
Have you dealt with Napoleonic law?
I do, man. 1776. It's good. All right, man. Welcome to the call. Holy cow. There's a lot of people on the call today. Wow. Nice. All right, cool, man. So this is the non-UCC filing, okay? Everybody knows this? Put it away. Let's not talk about it again. Don't even think about it. I promise. Please don't think about it. It'll make your head hurt more. Don't do it. We're going to go into a whole nother transaction here. Ready? With the same piece of paper. Jeez, this Emmett.damron. Where did this guy come from? All right. So you're going to fill out your UCC exactly the same way. The only difference is you don't check the non-UCC box. And all of your other documents, the commercial security agreement, the hold harmless, the power of attorney, all that stuff goes the property A list, and document we're going to go over tonight, a little bit later, your certificate of trust. Those are the documents that are going to get filed with this. This goes to the Secretary of State. That's it. So you're going to do 2 filings. Isn't that easy? I think that's the easiest I've ever gotten it out. It's always kind of a tough bill to get out. Any questions? Come on, I know you got them. Yes, you do. Get over here. Come on now. I know you got a question. No? Okay. Be fibbing. Because if you don't ask, you won't get it. This ain't Halloween. All right.
Hey, Shannon wanted to ask a question. I was just making sure you were
What?
able to hear him.
Okay, Maverick. Hey, brother. Welcome, man. Glad you're here. Welcome to the call. So what needed to be written down? Okay, so just write down that the non-UCC filing gets the indemnity bond only and filed on the land record right here, just like you see right here. That's why you guys got a copy of mine so you can see it. So remember that this is the non-UCC filing, and actually it's even labeled the non-UCC filing in some kind of acronymic kind of way to save space and less typing. So I hope that helps. And so remember that the non-UCC is going to work the same way. The only difference, the UCC is going to work the same way. The only difference is we don't check the non-UCC box and we upload all of our documents with it. The commercial security agreement, everything else. Everything we did Monday, except for the indemnity bond. Indemnity bond just goes there. I know I said I wasn't going to talk about it, but let's not get any confused. Everybody does. Right. Okay, so any questions? Anybody else have any questions before we move on? Nope.
Yes, I have a question.
Go ahead, Kyle.
Okay, regarding the UCC and non-UCC, can you explain again why there are 2 and what the reasons are that there are 2?
Yes. The reason that there are 2 is because one of them is going to establish state to state, basically, and commercially, that you're off the books, that there's a commercial security agreement in place that prohibits any more use of your name and who you are. You're done. You're out. And the non-UCC gives notice to the lien that's perfected against you. So, and that's why you have the bond, the indemnity bond. It's basically like a big teaser. Okay, here's the bill. Somebody come pay it. So think of it like if you left your car at the mechanic shop and you didn't pay the bill, the mechanic would take your car. He would totally take your car. You owed 50 grand on the car and you left it there for $5,000. He could take your car. He could totally do it. And it's because he's the first in line to get paid. And by setting this part up, it puts the secured creditor first in line to get paid, because the secured creditor is the one that has created the pipeline through the trust to take care of the straw person for the benefit of the beneficiaries. Wow. That came out in one breath. That was good. I hope that made sense. It did, right? Everybody get that? Okay. So it goes like this and like this and like this. And I know it does, but it's just what it is. It's like dealing with the Clintons. It's crazy thing. Okay. Everybody getting it? All right. So we've got 10 minutes. And I would thought I'm going to open this up to anybody out there in the public. I'm going to just give you guys 10 minutes, the last 10 minutes here before we shut it down and we go into the meat and potatoes here. but I wanted to give you guys an opportunity to ask questions about this relationship, okay? Because this relationship is absolutely key to get yourself private, okay? It's not about fixing you. It's about fixing him. He's the problem. So that's what I want to convey to you guys. These people that are telling you there's something wrong with you, they're stupid. They really don't know. They're not living it. It's still to them like a picture they're trying to paint in their head. Tried, but anyway, if there's any questions or comments, let's open up the floor. You guys ask all the questions you want. If there's some out of bounds questions, I'll let you know, but I think everybody's pretty good. Go ahead, Angela. Did you unmute?
Who, me?
Yes.
Oh,
I didn't unmute you.
Shannon had a question. Can you hear him?
You hear me now?
I can hear you now. It's just like Verizon,
Okay.
brother. Go ahead.
So, living here in Louisiana with the Napoleonic Law, have you helped anybody like me deal with
Yes.
it? Is there anything different here?
You won't have any
Good.
trouble filing in Louisiana. I have a lot of students that have filed in Louisiana. Even and people in Texas, I'm going to tell you, filing in Texas is kind of a pain. They're really tricky. But if you can show that you have cohesion in another state, then they're like, oh, okay. Then they just let it through. So for me, that's a lot of my members went to Louisiana, filed stuff there, and then so they could get a filing also in Texas.
Thanks.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And Shannon, we got to talk. You know what? Forgive me. I've just been super busy, covered up. I really want to get with you. Not like that, but I mean, I want to hang out with you and talk about some things. You have to watch what you say these days, because next thing you know, there are two dudes are holding hands. You're like, oh, it's a bromance. That's not like that. But anyway, go ahead, man. Jonathan, you had a question. You went dark on us. What happened? You good?
I have a question whenever y'all get, if John wants to go first.
No, he's good. Go ahead,
Okay.
Angela.
Okay, so I got my EIN number, okay, and when I took it to the bank, I took that and the trust to the bank to open up my account, okay. Well, they said that the irrevocable trust wasn't in right next to my name, so I had forgot to put the irrevocable trust on there. So how do
It's the top page, though, right?
Huh?
It's just the top page of your trust.
Hey, just a quick thing. Gotta jump in here. Tim, it appears you have some music going on in the background, so we're not able to hear you.
How's that? Is that better? Sorry about that. Okay, my bad.
Okay.
I was trying to be cool. Okay, I can't be cool anymore. It's fine. You're like my parents. It's always too loud. Just sit fine. Whatever. I know. I tell these guys on TikTok their age is showing when they tell me that. The music's too loud. We're having a hard time hearing you. Look at all these hateful comments I get. I know they heard it. Come on, man. Anyway.
I guess my
Go ahead. I'm
question
sorry,
is
Go ahead.
do I need to do another EIN with that on there, or do I need to, you can't hear me?
Hold on. I can't hear you. Oh, shoot. I know why.
All in one place. And it's
Hold
easy
on.
to get going too. Simply find what you like and purchase to list.
Go ahead. One more time.
Okay, so the EIN number, do I need to go ahead and apply for another EIN and put that irrevocable trust on there? Because I
Yeah.
had left it off at the end of it.
Yeah. It's gotta be consistent, because they'll whine and cry about it.
They did. So
Yeah, They do.
do I need to
And
get
there's-
another one or try to change that?
You just want to, well, if they'll I don't know. I've never messed up one of those before.
Well,
you could
if
ask.
somebody
You could
messed up,
ask if
it's gonna
there's.
be me.
See if you could amend it, and since you haven't used it anywhere, you could probably just make up a new one and it'll die off.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
here's-
haven't used it,
here's
but
what
it
mine looks
isn't
like.
on my paperwork.
There's an account
Or is
statement
it?
there's a bank statement from mine. You'll see, like, it says Timothy Emmett.damron irrevocable trust.
Yeah, I left off
Timothy
the irrevocable
Emmett.damron
trust.
CTE. Well, here's what I did. I left out irrevocable trust on my filing, but then I put it here. So,
Oh, okay.
but it actually works this way. So, But anyway, that's my address. If you guys want to send me some gift cards to Amazon or anything, that's the place.
So
to
you
send.
didn't have the irrevocable trust on your EIN?
No, I didn't have it on my original filings.
Oh,
On my Secretary of State filings. Y'all saw my non-UCC. It just says Timothy Emmett.damron.
yeah.
So I'm saying I did it backwards, but I knew that it needed to be on here, so I put it that way. That's why I say put it in parentheses, because then it could be there or it could not be there. It's like blue
Mhm.
shirt, black shirt,
Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, that's basically how that works. And there you go. There's the proof it can get done. And we absolutely pay all of our bills through here. And that sets you up as a platform, because now with that EIN, you can do things. You can do all that. There's no W-4 sandwiches. You can't do those. I don't even know what those are, to tell you the honest God truth. It sounds like something you buy at Happy Meal or something, but whatever. We're going to talk about that when we get to tax equity and trust. We'll talk about that a little bit more. Any other questions?
Does the
Or-
tax equity, is that what you said, or tax and equity?
Tax and equity and discharge is actually what it is.
Okay, tax and equity. Okay.
I mess it up all the time. Thank you. I do.
Well,
Like
you
my
said
own
it so many
classes, I
times,
don't
you
even
went
know.
through
I'm
it,
just,
yeah.
And and I teach these things. Look, I don't have any notes here. I just have this. I didn't write it all on this, I promise, tonight's class. So it's all off the cuff.
And that's going to teach us how to actually use the trust
Yes.
account, how to do, how to put certain words or pay certain things.
Which shows you how to when you do pay certain things, you have the ability to assess everything that you've paid. Why? Because that's the pipeline. See,
Okay.
remember that pipeline about the kids when they come after your wallet and they just take things? Just imagine it like a big PVC pipe from your wallet that goes all the way to their bedroom, and you just send groceries, you send rent, you send college tuition, you send everything down that pipeline. The difference is we have a relationship and we have a contract. So now you have the right to assess it through that vehicle. This is where your teachers are failing you, all of you. This is where the redemption book is. Just use it for a doorstop, because they'll come out with a 6.0 next year. Who knows? It's always going to be revised. Why? It's because these people are just lost. And you know what they want? They want your time. And you know how much time we have? Not much. You know what? We might have 80 years, 90 years, 100 years, tops. And it takes you half that just to get it right. So, we don't have a lot of time. And our beneficiaries need to learn from what we've done. We cannot continue to pass these failures down to our children like they've passed down to us. It hurts.
Thank you so much. I've got to go. I just didn't want
No
you
problem.
to think I was just leaving you, but I got to go cut some hair.
Keep it out of your socks. It hurts. Be good. All right. That's awesome. All right. Well, we are reaching the end of the class. And those of you guys that are not in the call or not in the class, I'm going to ask you guys to exit. And if you don't, I'll exit. We'll come to your house. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I had a quick question too.
I'll get you, Sean. Hold on.
Oh.
Go ahead, Connie.
I I'd like to file for the application for authentication for our birth certificates.
Yes.
And I was confused because I've heard different things. I have the paper to fill out for Illinois. It says, prior to submitting documents to be certified for foreign use, please ensure they have been notarized by an Illinois notary public or certified by the proper official. And then underneath it says, birth certificates, death certificates, marriage certificates must be certified by the county clerk or local registrar where the birth. Does that mean we don't need to get it notarized, or do we need to get it notarized?
Yeah.
And do we have to fill out an affidavit of ownership or anything?
I don't know about that. That's not in my class. But if the state requires that you do it, do it. And it varies from state to state. And some of them have longer processes than others.
Okay.
So we just got to kind of work within their, just call them on the phone and ask. It's cool. I want to show
Okay.
you guys. Is everybody else? Hold on a second. All right, let's go ahead and shut down, and we're gonna come back in, students. Let's come back in about 8 after. Okay, let's go ahead and shut down and come back in. We'll come back in at 8 after. Okay, just a little break.